My teen daughter came home from school shaking. She said the neighbor had followed her, told her she was walking wrong. When I confronted him, he said, "That girl's posture screams trouble. Fix her before the world does." We filed a restraining order. Then came the flyers. Dozens. Taped around the neighborhood. "Protect your kids from what's next door." Featuring a blurred image of my daughter, taken from our own side yard. I checked the metadata of the file we pulled from his trash. The timestamp matched one thing: her first day of therapy. My daughter Mallory is 14. She's not loud, not dramatic. She's the kind of kid who brings her own book to school dances. The divorce hit her hard. I've done my best, but I know she's been carrying a lot alone. This summer, I finally got her into therapy. She didn't want to go at first, but after a few sessions, she started opening up. Just a little. That was a win. Then came that Tuesday in late August. She came through the front door after school, white as a sheet. Not crying. Just pale, tense, arms clenched around her backpack. I asked her what happened. She sat on the stairs, didn't even take her shoes off. She said, "Mike Ritter followed me." I froze. Ritter lives directly across the street. About 60, maybe older. Big into neighborhood watch. Always has something to say about people's lawns, garbage bins, noise levels. I've had a few run-ins with him, but nothing serious. Just the usual cranky old man behavior. I thought that was all he was. I asked Mallory what she meant. She said he got in his truck after she passed his house and slowly followed her down the block. She thought maybe he was going somewhere. But then he rolled the window down and said something to her. I said, "What did he say exactly?" She looked at me and said, "He said you're walking wrong." Then he said, "That posture screams trouble. Fix her before the world does." I felt sick. He wasn't joking. She was scared. This wasn't some old man giving advice. This was targeted. And creepy. And worse, Mallory had her phone. She'd snapped a photo of his truck just after he drove away. Same red Ram, same cracked headlight. I told her to go inside. Then I marched across the street. I knocked on his door, calm but burning inside. He opened up, wearing one of those smug, slow smiles like he already knew why I was there. I said, "You followed my daughter." He said, "I don't follow anyone. I was just on my way to the store." I said, "You told her she was walking wrong. That she looked like trouble." He shrugged. Didn't even try to deny it. That girl's posture is going to get her the wrong kind of attention. Better to fix that now than let the world do it. I was shaking. My hands, my jaw, all of it. But I didn't yell. I just turned and walked away. Back home, I filed a report. The sheriff's deputy came by, took down my statement, and I filed for a restraining order the next morning. They said if he came near her again, we'd have a case. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. 2 weeks later, on a Friday morning, I noticed something taped to the stop sign at the end of the street. It was a flyer. Black and white. Cheap printer paper. At the top, big bold letters. "Protect your kids from what's next door." Under that, a blurry photo. It was my daughter. Taken from the side, walking through our yard toward the driveway. A camera zoomed in from far away. The image looked like surveillance. My stomach dropped. I ran to every pole and streetlight on our block. They were everywhere. Taped with clear packing tape. The same flyer. Dozens. Maybe more. Some neighbors saw me tearing them down. One old woman came out and helped. Didn't say anything, just handed them to me like she already knew. Mallory hadn't seen them yet. I hid them all before she came home. That night, I walked down the street after dark with a flashlight and gloves and went through Ritter's trash. I didn't care anymore. I needed proof. Beneath some junk mail, I found a Ziploc bag with a thumb drive in it. I brought it inside, plugged it into my laptop. It had one file, a JPEG. The same image from the flyers. My daughter, from the side yard, backpack on, walking like she always does. I checked the metadata. The timestamp was clear. 8:53 a.m. August 29th. Mallory's first day of therapy. He wasn't guessing her schedule. He was watching her. That night I didn't sleep. I stayed up thinking about how many flyers he printed. How long he'd been watching us. How he timed the photo to match her first therapy session. And how he looked me in the eye and told me my daughter looked like trouble. That was when I decided to ruin Mike Ritter completely. I didn't go to the cops again. I already knew what they'd say. No proof he put up the flyers. No witness. It's just a picture. They'd write another report, maybe swing by his house, maybe not. But I wasn't going to wait for something worse. So I started collecting everything. Every weird moment we'd had with him. Every time he stepped out just as Mallory walked by. I asked my neighbors if they'd seen anything strange. Most of them shrugged it off. One woman 2 doors down said, "He's always been odd." But nobody wanted to get involved. Except one. Her name was Patrice. Single mom like me. Lives behind us on the next street. One night I knocked on her door and just told her everything. I showed her the flyer, the picture, the metadata. I expected her to be shocked. Instead, she got this hard look in her eye. "That son of a bitch," she said. "He used to park outside my kid's middle school." Her daughter's 17 now, but 3 years ago, she noticed his red truck near the school entrance more than once. She thought it was weird, but nothing happened, so she let it go. We both knew what it meant now. This wasn't new. He'd been doing this for years. That changed everything. I went home and pulled up the HOA records. I remembered he used to be president years ago. There were archived minutes on the website. I spent hours digging. Found notes from 2019. Ritter proposes youth behavior guidelines. It was vague, but I screenshotted everything. He wanted rules about how kids could behave in public spaces. How they should look when walking home. It sounded ridiculous back then. Everyone ignored it. Now it made sense. I built a file. Photos. Flyer scans. Timestamp metadata. HOA documents. Notes from Patrice. Everything. But I needed more. I needed to expose him. So I made a plan. I called in a favor from my cousin in Denver. He's in IT, knows all kinds of tricks. I asked him if there was any way to check if Ritter had posted the image online before the flyers. A reverse image search pulled up nothing, but that didn't mean he didn't try. Then my cousin said something that lit a fire in me. If that photo came from a motion-activated camera, he might have a network drive storing everything. Especially if he's techie about this. That night, I watched from my window. Ritter's garage door was open. Inside, on a shelf, I saw a box with a blinking green light. Probably a security DVR or storage drive. I needed access. So I waited. Ritter had a habit of leaving for coffee early on Sundays, about 7:30 a.m., like clockwork. That morning, I walked across the street while he was gone. Gloves on. Hoodie up. I didn't break in. I didn't have to. He'd left the side gate unlocked and the garage slightly open for airflow. I slid in. Quiet. My heart beating so loud I thought it would give me away. Inside, I found the box. External hard drive. USB 3. 0 port on the side. I didn't take it. I took pictures of the serial number, the router nearby, the model number. Then I left. 10 minutes flat. Later that day, I called a local news reporter I'd seen cover a pedophile sting last year. She was tough, no nonsense. I told her everything. Offered to send her the file I'd built. She called me back the next day. "I want this story," she said. "But I need something bigger." So we gave her bigger. Patrice got her daughter to talk on camera. Blurred face, voice changed. Another neighbor came forward too, an older man who said Ritter used to stare at the park like he was hunting. No one took it seriously before. But now they did. The reporter called me back 2 days later. "We're running it next week. I hope you're ready." I was. The news story hit like a lightning strike. I didn't show my face. I just gave my voice. I talked about Mallory. How scared she was. How this man across the street watched her on the morning of her first therapy session and plastered her image all over the neighborhood. The story exploded. People started talking. More came forward. A family from 2 blocks over called the station and said they'd seen him taking photos of their kid a year ago, thought he was just odd. Another neighbor, a guy who used to work construction, said Ritter once asked him to install a new camera on his roof for better visibility of the streetwalkers. At the time, he thought it meant crime prevention. Now it sounded a lot darker. The sheriff's office couldn't ignore it anymore. They showed up with a warrant by Friday morning. I watched from my kitchen window as they boxed up Ritter's computers, hard drives, and cameras. He stood outside, arms crossed, mouth tight, refusing to speak. That night, he was arrested for harassment and unlawful surveillance. But here's where things took a turn I didn't expect. A few days after his arrest, I got a letter in the mail. No stamp. Just left in my mailbox. It wasn't signed. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Typed. It said, "You don't know what you've done. There are worse people watching than me. At least I warned you." I read it twice. My hands were shaking. This wasn't over. I turned everything over to the reporter. She looped in the station's legal team. They ran a follow-up story the next week, including the letter. Suddenly this wasn't just a creepy neighbor, it was a growing list of questions. Then my cousin called again. He'd kept digging. He found a Reddit account, now deleted, that had posted a grainy version of that same photo of Mallory 3 days before the flyers appeared. The post was titled, "Look at what's walking around my neighborhood. Parents do better." It had comments. Dozens. One stuck out. "She's not the only one. Look at the girl on 12th Avenue. They all walk like that." And another. "Document everything. They never see it coming." We didn't know who wrote them. The usernames were scrambled, deleted, masked behind VPNs. But Ritter wasn't acting alone. There were more of them. I had a sick feeling in my stomach that this was bigger than one man with a camera and a creepy mouth. Someone was egging him on. Maybe even a group. Sharing photos. Notes. Watching. Mallory had no idea about any of this. I kept her in the dark to protect her. But one night, she came into my room and sat at the edge of the bed. She said, "Mom, I saw one of the flyers. At school. Someone brought it in. I couldn't breathe." She said. "They passed it around. Said I looked like a runaway." I reached for her hand. She pulled away. Then she said, "I'm not doing therapy anymore. It's not safe." And just like that, Ritter had taken something from her I couldn't give back. I wasn't done yet. I stayed up that night thinking about how far it had gone. How a sick man twisted things so badly that my daughter was afraid to get help. I couldn't sleep. My mind kept flashing to the letter, the flyers, and those disgusting Reddit comments. I thought about Mallory in school, humiliated. Kids laughing behind her back. A therapist's office that now felt like a trap instead of a safe place. And I knew what I had to do. I didn't want revenge just for me. Or for Mallory. I wanted the whole system that allowed this kind of sickness to rot under the sun. So I went nuclear. I made everything public. I posted the full file online, flyers, metadata, HOA records, screen captures, the letter. Everything. I uploaded it to a Google Drive, locked it behind a simple title. "This is how it starts." Then I shared the link in every local Facebook group. Every parent forum. Every Reddit thread. I even made a TikTok account and posted screenshots one by one with a voiceover telling the story from start to finish. It went viral. Hundreds of thousands of views in 2 days. Then someone messaged me anonymously. Said they recognized one of the usernames from those Reddit comments. They'd seen the same person post on a dark web forum linked to stalking, hidden cameras, and community watch, codes that sounded innocent but weren't. The FBI got involved after that. Ritter had been part of an underground group, men trading photos of teens under the cover of safety awareness. They didn't share porn. Just surveillance. Just evidence. Just signs of bad parenting. It was a loophole. And Ritter had been feeding them. The hard drive they seized? Full of images. Not just of Mallory. Girls from all over town. Different ages. Candid shots. Some from parks. Some from backyards. Ritter cracked under questioning. He gave names. Dozens. Some local. One even worked for the school district. They swept in fast after that. Quietly. But I knew what was happening behind the scenes. Mallory's photo brought down an entire network. They tried to keep it quiet. But I didn't. I testified at the county hearing. I said everything into the mic. How he stalked her, how the cops brushed it off, how the neighbors looked the other way until it was too late. But here's where I'll admit my mistake. I didn't think about what all this would do to Mallory. Not really. I told myself I was protecting her. Fighting for her. But what she needed wasn't just justice. She needed safety. Quiet. Healing. And I burned all of that down. After the trial, after the news trucks left and the neighborhood tried to move on, she came to me with her suitcase packed. "I'm going to Dad's," she said. I begged her to stay. She shook her head. "I can't heal here. Not with everyone staring. Not with you always fighting." She left that night. Said she'd come back when she was ready? That was 6 weeks ago. I talk to her on the phone sometimes. She's okay. Not great. But okay. As for Ritter? He's gone. Serving time. Some of the others too. One killed himself after his name hit the papers. I don't feel sorry. I walk past his old house every day. It's empty. Boards on the windows. A for sale sign leaning sideways in the yard. I stood across the street last week, looked up at the porch where he used to sit and watch my girl. And I smiled. Because I buried him with the truth. But I also learned that revenge isn't clean. You don't always get to feel good at the end. Sometimes you win. And still lose pieces of the things you were trying to protect. And that's what I live with now. But if I had to do it all over again, I'd still burn his world down. Only next time, I'd shield Mallory better from the flames.